Hello there. Welcome back to the booth here in Barcelona. Marshall Sutcliffe with Randy Buehler. We have wound our way down to the third and final round of Team Sealed here in our first stretch of the World Magic Cup. Let's head down to the feature match area where we have Austria versus Scotland. And welcome to coverage of the World Magic Cup. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler, and we're all set for round 3. This is Team Sealed. We've got Scotland versus Austria. You take a look at Stephen Murray of Scotland here.
The national champion medal around his neck. Love it.
Yeah, that's great. You know, Stephen is one of very few players to have played in 3 World Magic Cups in his career.
There's only been 4.
There's only been 4, yeah. The list is even shorter for those that have played 4. On the other side of the table, Nicholas Eigner from Austria. Take a look at him. And Nicholas, he's actually got a GP win on his resume.
From like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He's been around for a while.
Now, Randy.
Yeah, you said we're all ready for round 3. I do not know if we're ready for this deck.
I don't think the world is ready for this.
There we go. Let's get it started. Lava Step Raider. This deck has 4 copies of Goblin Warpaint.
This is a Goblin Warpaint deck.
Yes.
That's what this is. And
Blister Pods in multiples, Lava Step Raiders in multiples, beating down.
Now,
have you seen anything resembling this before?
I've never seen anybody go this hard in the paint. This is the first time that I've seen a deck skewed this hard. And as you and I were going over the list, you know, we were kind of taken aback by a few of the cards that we saw on the sideboard. I was like, Stone Fury. Wow. You know, usually you play your one Stone Fury in the deck. And, you know, we saw Vile Aggregate. Steven's playing only one of his 3 Vestige of Emrakul, and then we both just stopped.
Rolling Thunder in the sideboard.
In the board. This is a 16 land deck for Stephen Murray. So yeah, this is one of those things that a little experimentation perhaps here from Stephen Murray. Maybe they found it, right?
Look at the draw from Eigner though. Demon's Grasp, complete disregard in 6 lands. That is not the draw you want against Reckless Cohorts.
That is borderline embarrassing. Yeah, like Demon's Grasp against this draw is pretty bad. There's a Geopede now for Murray, but that thing's going to get taken out immediately.
Eigner needs to draw something.
He does. He doesn't need a whole lot at this point.
Because there's no Warpaints. If Stephen Murray had a Warpaint, this draw would be great.
And he's supposed to.
Yeah.
4 of them.
4 in a 40-card deck.
There's a little
Smothering
smile.
Abomination is not really the card.
That is definitely not the card, but he is going to have to just play here.
Yeah, it's better than passing the turn.
It is.
The other nice thing about the Stephen Murray deck, so it's a Goblin Warpaint deck, but the thing is, he's got the ability to sideboard into a much slower, beefier sort of red-green ramp deck. If the opponent sideboards aggressively to just try to block all the, 1-mana 1/1s and Goblin Warpaints, he can take them out. He can sideboard 20 cards.
Interesting line here from Nicholas. He's decided not to play a Smothering Abomination. Now, of course, the downside to playing it out is that you're just going to lose it on your upkeep anyway. But you do get the card back because you have to sack it, and it can block for that turn. And if your opponent wants to use removal on it, fair enough, then it's a 1-for-1. I think I favor just playing it out there and taking less damage, especially with how aggressive Steven's deck looks. I mean, Steven's played in 3 World Magic Cups. You know he's not just like wandering in here like, oh, Lava Step Raider, that looks like a good one. I'll play that.
Yeah,
sure. You have to know that he's got some plan going on here. And I don't love the line of do nothing turn 4 and then turn 5, play this card, which is going to be a Demon's Grasp. He's going to play another one next turn. I like just getting a card and, we call it fogging, right? Just basically saying you can't attack me for a turn and using his Smothering Abomination in that way. This is a little bit greedier of a line. It's going to lead to him taking a significant amount more damage here. In fact, Lava Step Raider is going to get activated. Again, that's the first time I've seen that happen on camera. And another one. And again, you said it earlier, Randy, these Demon's Grasp, it's just like not what you want. I love the look on Eigner's face.
Look at the smile from Murray.
And he scoops him up. That's going to do it. Stephen Murray takes game one in blazing fashion.
No Goblin War Paints even required.
Who needs them? All the 1-drops and 2-drops in a 16-land deck. We're going to be right back after these messages.
Take the world in the newest Magic the Gathering set, Oath of the Gatewatch. Play in pre-release events at your local game store on January 16th and 17th, and on Magic Online starting January 29th. Visit locator.wizards.com to find a store near you. Put your game to the test at a Grand Prix. These open tournaments feature the best players in your region as well as top Magic pros from around the world. Upcoming Grand Prix events include Oakland, Vancouver, Mexico City, Nagoya, and Houston. Visit magic.wizards.com/Grand Prix for a complete schedule.
And welcome back to the feature match area here in Barcelona, Spain for the World Magic Cup. Let's head over to Table C, where we've got Martin Clement. That's going to be him on the left side of your screen. On the right, he's playing against Christoph Auchenthaler. And, well, not a whole lot going on here. This one looks like it's taken a little more time to develop. Maybe some removal spells have been deployed. We see a Herald of Kozilek holding off a Sludge Crawler, at least temporarily.
We also managed to find where Austria put their Goblin War Paints. They're in Auchenthaler's sideboard, of course.
There's Martin.
Auchenthaler has a Grand Prix win from a couple of years ago. 2 Grand Prix champions on this Austrian team, and neither one of them is Valentin Mackel, the captain.
That is surprising.
He's 6 GP top 8.
Yeah.
You'd think he would have won one by now, but in fact does not have a win.
Wow.
It's 6 GP top 8s from scattered all over the world, too. 5 semifinals, but no final.
A little bit of teamwork here. We mentioned it at the onset of the tournament, but you can help out your teammates here.
Yeah, that's Sebastian Fiala-Ebitz in the coaching role of this round for Austria.
And here's a clutch occurrence to set back Auchenthaler significantly here, as he didn't really have much else going on, and whack! Here comes a good amount of damage. Looks like 6. And that was a nice tempo play there for Martin.
Team Scotland is, you heard Richard say before the round, they won one of the Spirit Awards for this tournament. They're all wearing kilts. Very much a proud country here. They've also made day 2 at every World Magic Cup. They're looking to go 4 for 4 today.
That is impressive. Yeah, especially because they're all cross format. I mean, they're really skill testing. They test your ability to work with other people as well as limited, constructed, and in ways you don't often play them. You know, this isn't just sitting down for, you know, a sealed deck or a booster draft. This tests different aspects of your skill set. All right, now here's that Herald of Kozilek hitting the table again. You can also see that Clement has a Blighted Fen sitting up there. He even has the mana to activate it right now on his next turn. But finding a land would even clear up an attack with his 3/3 land as well. This is starting to get a little hot under the collar here for Auchenthaler. Ah. Well, Brutal Expulsion is going to help that out. So while the shields are down, he's going to return a land to hand, which effectively kills a creature. Mm-hmm. That was the 3/3 land, and he's going to actually kill a creature as well, since he can't, since Martin can't pump up his creature. So Sludge Crawler down as Christoph Auchenthaler gets himself out of a pretty tough spot cleanly there. In the meantime, Ulamog's Nullifier is going to crunch in there for a couple of damage as it flies over the Herald. This is interesting. Martin Clement does not use Blighted Fen here. And this is going to show Christoph Alcantara that he's got something, because you might as well take out the Herald here. It's a good creature that's potentially opening the door for Christoph to cast more creatures than he normally could. And in fact, Martin does have something. He's got Spell Shrivel.
Time to pull the trigger on it, right?
Indeed. His other option is to fire off the Blighted Fen this turn. He can do it now. He can wait, or he can just Spell Shrivel. Yeah, I like this play. If he doesn't have anything else to do on his turn, he'll just untap, use Blighted Fen to get the Herald off the board. Tricky little spot here, though, from Christoph's perspective, because you know something's going on. Yeah, the tempo plays are really flowing nicely now for Clement. He's got a Merc Strider that he just drew. And in his hand, he also has an adverse condition. So it feels like Alcantara is just fallen so far behind here that even though Martin doesn't have a brutal clock going, he's attacking for 2 now. That drops him down to 8. And he can just kill him in 2 turns. And I don't think that there's much Alcantara can do unless he can start playing 2 spells per turn. Which is certainly possible. This poor Herald, by the way, has just been tossed around. It's been returned to hand a couple of times. Okay, tightening coils to bring that thing to the ground and shrink it down. That is going to help with the clock significantly here.
Alcantara's out, though. He's down to just a mountain in his hand. And Clement's still got...
He still has Coastal Discovery, which is going to be absolute beating here. And there it is. Coastal Discovery. Get this swamp into a 4/4. Draw 2 cards. And this is basically the exact type of card that Alcantara did not want to see from Clement. He either didn't want to see like a 7 or an 8 drop hit, and he certainly didn't want to see one of the best value spells in the format with Coastal Discovery. It allows Martin Clement to attack. 4 power can get through the 2/4 blocker, and it reloads his hand right as Alcantara ran out of cards. Big swing here for Clement.
Scotland looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, they're looking great. Quick card check there. How many you got? 2.
Yeah, Alcantara just drew an island that turn.
So Clement's going to be patient here and let Alcantara chump block here, which is going to give Alcantara an extra draw step here, though I don't think there's much that he can draw to get himself out of this. He finds
certainly not going to do it.
No, so he's just going to have to pass the turn back here. Yeah, he's not even going to do that. Scoop him up, and Martin Clement wins his game.
Takes a peek over to the right. How you doing, boys?
That is how that goes.
Do we get to go watch more?
We're going to actually jump to the front table here where we have Ray Doyle versus Valentin Muckle. Again, people that catch up with us to watch GP coverage are going to be intimately familiar with Valentin as he plays a ton of GPs, including stateside. He goes to North America to play as well.
67 Grand Prix played in his career. And he's only 23.
Yeah, he's a young man. So we see his face out at Grand Prix across the world. He is the team captain from Austria.
He's also the one with Felidar Sovereign in play. Black-white life gain for Valentin.
Whew, how about a double striking Felidar Sovereign?
How about?
Yeah, I don't know, Ray. I don't know what to tell you, man. All he can do is laugh. It looks like just the Felidar Sovereign's going to hit, but that's an 8 life gain for him, a 16-point life swing off of that. Well, he's got to be happy with that turn. And yeah, the 2 Scottish players can only laugh at that. see an Angelic Captain there for Muckle as well, and an Emeria Shepherd. So Muckle is kind of working the late game here, and he is in a dominant board position over Ray Doyle. Ray draws a card for the turn and just passes back, but it looks like Muckle had fallen a little bit behind. He's not anymore. He is absolutely crushing this board state here. Serene Steward now hits the battlefield. And, well, the Felidar Sovereign has Vigilance, but otherwise everything else is coming in. Serene Steward is an ally, so everything has double strike, and that was, in fact, an alpha strike. And Ray Doyle just has to smile and scoop up his permanents there as Valentin Muckle on white, black, red picks up his game. All right, why don't we head back to the middle table, Randy?
Yeah, please.
I got to see what's going to happen here. When we jumped in, it was Lava Step Raiders and and all of that. And Steven won the game very, very quickly.
We've been told, though, that he is capable of transforming into a sort of slower, bigger deck after sideboarding.
He did. Look at it. Look at his graveyard. He's got a Stone Fury and a Kozilek's Channeler in his board.
Those are not in the main deck.
No. He's got 2 channelers that he can bring in out of the board. His sideboard looks really good. Like, it might be the better of the 2 decks.
You can't get him with Goblin Warpaint, get him with Omnath.
And Rolling Thunder and 2 channelers and a lot of places to put that mana. This is brilliant. Stephen Murray just zigging when you're zagging. You know, you start off with Lava Step Raider, and, you know, you can see Nicholas Eigner just taking out those slow removal spells. Like, well, these don't get the job done. And now all of a sudden he's facing down 4/4s and 5/5s that he needs to kill. This is great stuff from the Scottish team. Now, as far as Eigner goes, though, he does have a fully developed board here. But everything's kind of small.
That said, check out the hand of Stephen Murray. I see an X spell.
Roll, Thunder, roll. Yeah, so... Wow, look at Eigner's board now. He's got 10 creatures on the board.
How many of them are 1 toughness?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the 10.
Just curious.
The 80%er.
Kozilek's Channeler.
Oh, no. Stephen Murray is lining up for the biggest Rolling Thunder ever. Was that Smothering Abomination off the top for Eigner, too? Because Smothering Abomination would be unreal on this board.
With all those Scions?
Yeah, just every turn drawing 2 cards forever. Stephen Murray may have something to say about that. It is. Wow. And, you know, the crazy part is you read that bottom clause on the card. You know, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. That's all fine and dandy. But that bottom clause is separate. It just says whenever you sacrifice a creature, draw a card. So he can just cash in this board and refill his hand completely. Look at this.
Going off.
Draw a card.
Make some mana.
He could draw 7 cards this turn. And make 7 mana in the process.
Right. He can also draw all those cards as a response to a Rolling Thunder.
Absolutely. So that Smothering Abomination was massive for Nicholas Eigner. Oh. Is that a Smite the Monstrous off the top for Stephen Murray? It can't be, right? Does he splash that? He does have 2 in his board.
Apparently.
And he
doesn't have white mana.
Huh. I would get the job done against Smothering Abomination.
Yeah, if he could kill the Abomination, that would be nice. I guess he's got to kill it with the Rolling Thunder?
Yeah. But this is just a disaster for Steven because he's going to Rolling Thunder to take down the Abomination plus a few other creatures. But in response, Nicholas can just draw 6 cards. Up to 6 cards. How much does he value the Scions? I mean, he probably draws something like 5 cards here just to start things off.
What format are we playing again, Marshall?
This is insane.
Draw 5 to start things off. That's what you said.
Yeah. Look at him go. Keep going. Don't stop there, buddy. Oh, yeah. And Stephen Murray can just stare in disbelief here as Nicholas completely reloads his hand.
This is insane.
This is absurd.
What? Look at the cards he's drawn.
Oh, no. Land. Hey, you still got 2 more cards sitting there.
Yeah, keep
Cash
going.
them in.
You certainly don't need the extra mana from the Scions.
I mean, I guess he figures that these are valuable creatures.
Drew another
but
land. That was a swamp.
What is going on here? And he
Finally, a
finds Bane of
spell.
Balaged, finally, and that is a nice one to draw. But his board is significantly whittled down. He's supposed to untap here and play a big thing and a small thing, and then play a big thing, and instead he's just ripped 6 lands off the top of his deck. He's at 14. He does get a little breathing room. Bane of Balaged could do some work here. Unless, of course, Steven finds that white mana. All right, so Eigner double blocks the Territorial Baloth to kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a good chunk of damage. And needs to find more action. The Bane of Balaged's a good start. Is that a Jotty offshoot?
Jeez. That's funny.
Well, he gets to gain 6 life over the course
Eventually.
of 6 turns. Oh, man. Gain a life and then play Bane of Balaged. Okay. Hey, at least it was a spell. It's probably the least powerful spell in his deck at this point. But he'll take any spell at this point, I think. And there's Bane of Balaged. Now, this is a hold your breath moment for Nicholas Eigner.
Indeed.
There's a Plains off the top for Stephen Murray. Right on time. Play the Plains, play the Smite, kill your Bane of Balaged, and crunch. Oh, that is so brutal for Eigner. He had almost stabilized.
Sometimes you draw
Zing.
7 cards and lose anyway.
I mean, that's never happened to me. I don't even know if that's true. Oh. Devastating draw there for Stephen Murray. And in comes the team. Chump block. Oh, no, it's only 2 powered. So
Yep.
just block. Take 6. Sorry, take 7. And Eigner needs to find something and quickly.
5 land in his hand.
Complete disregard off the top for Eigner. That actually does help. That means that he just needs to find something for the Kozilek's Channeler to block it, to interact with it. Because he can take out the Gnarlid here. And keep blocking the Tajuru Stalwart with his Jotty offshoot.
It's not like Stephen Murray's out of gas either, though. He's still got a Barasa Ranger in his hand.
Fair point. And with a land, he can get counters flowing onto that immediately.
So lands are good draws and spells are good draws.
Correct. I think Stephen, what did he just draw? Natural Connection?
He's had the natural collection. He drew Nissa's Renewal.
I saw Nissa's Renewal. He's playing.
He went big.
I mean,
He sideboarded 20 cards.
I've never seen somebody play Lava Step Raider Game 1. Little sideboarding. Nissa's Renewal Game 2. Who is this guy? And poor Nicholas Eigner, who drew 7 cards on that last turn cycle, has a Jotty offshoot to show for his troubles. He's down to 3 life, and it's all lands in hand with another land off the top for Eigner, and he just has to extend the hand. Stephen Murray with the 1-2 punch for Scotland gets the job done and wins his match for his country. Oh, that was great. All right, let's jump over to table A now, where we have Ray Doyle and Valentin Machel once again. That's Valentin on the right-hand side, Ray's on the left. When we came in last time, the board looked similar to this, actually. Maria Shepherd, captain.
Against a couple Courier Griffins.
Yeah, and Machel was just going off, and that's exactly what's happening here.
The white, black, red is not a super common color combination, but it does make a lot of sense. It's essentially a black, white life gain deck, but so many of the red, white allies are just great that once you've got the black, white deck, it's got a critical mass of allies. So to suddenly splash the red, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You get the Resolute Blade Masters in there. Those are a huge power level bump for this type of deck. You know, he happened to get an Angelic Captain. Sure, throw that in there too.
Munda made the cut. Yeah, it's Blade Master and Munda.
Munda's in here too?
Yeah. Munda, Resolute Blade Master, and Angelic Captain.
So 2 rares and a mythic uncommon, as we call them. And this is where things get interesting too. The Emiria Shepherd, you know, changes the way that Valentin Machel approaches attacks, blocks, and everything. And I saw a handshake there as Ray Doyle attacked with everything. Valentin Machel made the correct blocks, and then Ray conceded. So Valentin Machel is going to pick up his match, meaning that
it all comes down to table C.
We've got table C to decide things. That is Martin Clement versus Christoph Alcantara. And great, we're just starting things off down here. Nice start here for Clement. Sludge Crawler's a beautiful beginning, though it gets completely brick-walled here by Alcantara. He's got Kozilek Sentinel that is going to stand guard here and keep that Sludge Crawler from hitting for quite a while. Go. Yeah, that's pretty tough. Sludge Crawler's usually good for one attack, you know, and then progressively gets better as the game proceeds. But usually you do get that one in there. And there's a Nettle Drone as well. Curious to see if he attacks with the Sentinel or not. Basically what he's saying, like, is from a damage consideration standpoint, it's an easy attack. But from an ingest standpoint, it's not. The question is how much do we care if Martin Clement gets one ingest going? Because he probably won't block the Sludge Crawler with his Nettle Drone here. I personally like this attack quite a bit. It's putting a lot of pressure on Clement, and if Clement wants to attack with the Crawler, Christoph Alcantara can take it, and now if Clement doesn't have a good follow-up, he stands to take a lot of damage from the Nettle Drone as well.
That first ingest is so painful to surrender, though.
It is. It is a real consideration, and he does, in fact, get in there with the Sludge Crawler, and that one ingest. Ooh, it took a Clutch Occurrence as well. Yeah, and this is what he didn't want to see. This is the downside to attacking for 2 there, is that now the ingest is up, and he doesn't get to attack back with the Nettle Drone. So that happens.
That said, the Infiltrator means that Clement was going to get to ingest anyway.
Absolutely. Nettle Drone's going to get activated, pinging Clement down to 17 and signifying that a colorless spell's on the way. And boy, is it. Geez, this is a nice little start here for Alcantara as well. Eldrazi Sky Spawner is going to add to his clock and his board state before passing the turn back.
This is only game 2, notice.
Correct. Yeah, Clement's up a game in this match.
All right, so Alcantara's got to win 2 straight if Austria is going to take this match.
You can also see multiple teammates now pooled behind the active players. Three cards in hand for Christoph. So Martin Clement trying to decide how to approach this turn, and it ends up being land go. In fact, not even attacking with his benthic infiltrator as it's holding back Nettle Drone pretty effectively here. Ooh, Drowner of Hope off the top for Kristoff. If he has a land, he could even play it this turn.
So Clement left up Ulamog's Nullifier mana, but
And or Spell Shrivel.
still only the one card that's been ingested, right?
Yes, only one card has been ingested, and Alcantara doesn't, of course, he has to decide what to play around. As it turns out, it's just the Nullifier. It doesn't actually nullify anything, though. It does come down as a 2/3 flyer if he wants it to, but this is an interesting spot because Alcantara does have that land. He's got a Blighted Cataract here, and he has to decide if he wants to run out his bomb or not. And he's decided not to. He's just going to pass the turn back. And this is going to be complete disregard to take out the Nettle Drone. It will ping him on his way out of town, but not a bad use of a turn for Clement.
Yeah, now the Nettle Drone is down, and there's 2 cards that have been ingested.
Indeed. That's a beautiful little sequence there for Martin. So the turn gets passed back to him. He's not under immediate pressure as it stands. Yeah, and it looks like Alcantara decided to fully play around the Ulamog's Nullifier too, not even attacking with his Sky Spawner.
Yeah, he saw 2 of them in game 1.
Mm-hmm. And it looked pretty obvious that he might have one in hand there too. And once again, Alcantara just refuses to play into an Ulamog's Nullifier. And he does this in 2 different ways this turn. He doesn't cast a spell, namely the Drowner of Hope that he has the mana for, and he also doesn't attack with the Sky Spawner. So he has the read, like you said, he saw 2 of them, and he just assumes that that's what's going on here.
How long can he afford to do nothing,
It's
though?
interesting, yeah, because now Martin has enough mana that he can start to hold down the board a little bit better. And he's even going to start getting in there, and he's once again fully representing Ulamog's Nullifier. Now, he does have it, as it turns out. And this is a nice use of resources here for Alcantara. He's actually going to crack Blighted Cataract. So this way, he still gets to use up his mana for the turn, but he doesn't have to play into the Nullifier. Though, kind of like what you were thinking, Randy, at some point he is going to have to play something into it. But under the pressure that he's on now, he doesn't really have to yet. So he can use his mana to draw some cards, keep the card draw flowing, and put out a few feeler cards like this one, a Tide Drifter. So he's going to put this on the stack and say, how about this? How does this sit with you? This is another way that he can draw the Nullifier out. Mm-hmm. He can just go ahead and get in an attack air.
He's got an Outnumber in his hand.
He does.
So he can kill the Nullifier.
This is a really cool little sequence. Now that he has enough for Outnumber, he feels clean. He feels fine attacking. But it also puts an awkward pressure on Martin that says, okay, fine. You want this thing? Go ahead. Gobble it up. Right? Because he could have just said, I just want to clear the way here. And Martin has to try to figure out exactly how to interpret that. Instead, he just takes the 2 damage.
Yep.
But I love this because now Alcantara just gets to attack every turn. He just gets to keep jamming into this thing over and over again and kind of forcing the issue back into Martin and just sort of daring him to cast the Nullifier just to eat the now 2/2 flyer. And here he goes again. He says, I'm going to keep doing this. So what do you want to do? Take 2? No problem. This has been a really cool game. And if Alcantara wins it, we get to see another one, hopefully. Super patient play by Kristoff here.
Indeed.
And this is going to be adverse conditions from Martin. He's doing this on the end step.
Tap both your blockers. Opens up an attack from Sludge Crawler and Carrier Thaw. Alcantara's got to decide, what's he thinking? Maybe he wants to outnumber here or something? No, he just lets it resolve.
Yeah, it just happens. He's probably just trying to make Martin think that he might have a spell shrivel or something, even though one of them's been exiled.
Sure.
Okay, here comes the attacks. And it is the team hitting the red zone here for 2, 3, 4, 5 at least.
Sludge Crawler does not get pumped.
Scatter to the Winds and an island gets exiled from Ingest, and that pile has grown pretty huge here. Another Sludge Crawler is going to join the team here for Martin. Yeah, this has just been a super fun, intricate game to watch as both players have
play
danced around.
Yeah, the nullifier that everyone knows is in Martin's hand.
Exactly.
Kristoff knows. Martin knows that Kristoff knows.
It was a nice hit, though. Kristoff only falls down to 12 there in that transaction, and Martin's at 11. Things start to get really interesting now as Kristoff has drawn multiple threats that may need to get countered, and Eldrazi's Sky Spawner and a Valakut Invoker are very threatening.
Yep.
Invoker, as the game goes further, gets super scary for Martin as it can start mowing down actual creatures off the board here. I mean, it starts taking down Sludge Crawlers pretty quickly. It also can just start firing away at Martin's life total, which is a remarkably quick clock if you've ever gotten the Valakut Invoker going.
Yeah, I'm almost a little bit surprised that that's the one that Alcantara led with.
I actually am too. I would assume that he would play the Sky Spawner first and try to bait this out with the Sky Spawner. I think it's more important to actually have the Invoker, as he's just 1 mana away from activating it. But it does work. So he gets the Ulamog's Nullifier finally out of hand for Martin Clement, and now he's going to get to play the Sky Spawner. But yeah, I think I'd rather have it. He does have the mana up for the outnumber. Is there anything that he really cares about? I suppose the Nullifier?
Yeah, get the 2/3 flyer off the board.
Yeah,
and start
get in for 2.
flying over.
Yeah, I think I would probably just do that.
I'm with you, though. I think I'd rather have the Invoker than the second Sky Spawner, I think. Is that even true? I mean, I guess he's going to spend his mana on a Drowner. Then he's going to spend his mana on a Clutch. Maybe he just wants the 2/2 flyer.
Yeah, the Clutch just doesn't do a ton here. Like, bouncing 1 random ground creature doesn't really clear the way, and bouncing a Nullifier's not a thing either. It is true about the Drowner, though. This has been a fascinating game to watch. In fact, all of our matches have been really good.
We'll get more Team Sealed tomorrow.
Yeah.
3 more rounds to kick off day 2.
Yeah, for all the teams that make it through, they get to come back in the morning and crack more packs here for Team Sealed before transitioning once again to Team Unified Standard. In the meantime, Martin Clement getting in there.
Leaves the Nullifier to play defense. Attacks with everything else.
Yeah, the Nullifier is theoretically holding off both Sky Spawners here.
Right. Sludge Crawlers are suddenly scarier now that we've gotten through the Nullifier dance. Martin can spend mana pumping them a little more aggressively.
Yeah, Alcantara can maybe try to bait that out and then outnumber one of them if he wants, but I really think he wants to get rid of the Nullifier.
Yeah, I also think that I don't think Martin wants to spend mana on those here. He wants to play a Ruin Processor. All right, Sky Spawner in front of 1.
Yeah?
He's basically, yeah, you're right. He's daring Martin to pump it twice. I think Martin may just decline.
I think he might also just say sure. It's actually not a trade, though. There's a Tide Drifter on the table.
Tide Drifter, right.
He needs to pump it once just to save it.
You're right.
And he did pump it once.
Yes.
I think that worked out okay for Alcantara.
Yeah.
His Brutal Expulsion just got munched on, though, by the by the Benthic Infiltrator.
And Martin will have to wait on the Ruin Processor, but he does get to play Skitterskin here.
Yeah, a little awkward, though, for Alcantara. I mean, he did lose a couple of creatures. His outnumber is shrinking quickly here. Okay, now he's going to outnumber for 3. He does get to untap his creatures finally. And once again, Drowner of Hope in hand for Alcantara. But this could get interesting because the Ruin Processor is just bigger. You know, he may be able to just, or Martin may be able to just overpower the board with that. Alcantara's clock is significantly slower after having blocked last turn with one of his flyers, and here's Drowner of Hope. The shields are down, though, for Martin Clement, so one of the better rares in the format, Drowner of Hope. The card is absolutely excellent, and you can see why. It puts 7 power and 7 toughness on the battlefield with a relevant ability. Martin's going to go to combat immediately here. Peck away, get Alcantara down to 9. He's hitting some nice stuff off of the ingest. It's not relevant strategically, but we will note it as these things go by. Wavewing Elemental down, Brutal Expulsion down. There was a clutch in there as well. And there it is, Ruin Processor. Plenty of food for the Ruin Processor. And that means that Martin Clement's going to be at 14 life, and he has a big 7/8 that has to be dealt with some way from Alcantara now.
You can tap it down with Drowner a couple of times.
Sure, that's good. The board looks sufficiently gummed up that that might not be enough to get the win for Alcantara, but that is certainly something. Yeah, these Eldrazi Scions are doing big work for Martin now. Because remember, Skitterskin can't block at all. And if he wants to start, if Alcantara wants to start using his Drowner of Hope to keep the 7/8 at bay, he's got some decent attacks. Yeah, as it stands though, just in the air with Sky Spawner. Martin falls down to 12. Draws his card for the turn. Both of these teams are 1-1 coming into this third round of Team Sealed. Both would love to get out of there with a 2-1 record going into Team Unified. Standard sets them up to probably split matches and make it into day 2.
Alcantara figures, why bother tapping the Ruin Processor when I can just block it and tap something else?
Yeah, if you want to do it defensively, you may as well do it that way. On offense, of course, you just got to get the thing out of the way.
Aha, Windrider Patrol. Now Martin's got a flyer.
Yeah, this is big for Martin. This is a big swing here. And all of a sudden, Alcantara, who's played this game quite carefully, he's drawn extra cards off of a Cataract, he's resolved some pretty big spells. You know, he's falling behind significantly here. Teams are deep in the tank here. This is we're definitely down the stretch of what has become a pretty muddled board state here.
Yeah.
think we're going to see Clutch of Currents from Alcantara. That's going to get rid of Wind Rider Patrol, at least temporarily.
And now there's just the 2 Scions to defend Martin Clement?
Yes, there are just 2 Scions, and in fact, one of them can get tapped down with the Drowner, leaving him with just 1.
12 life, though. That's...
Yes.
I think the Drowner's going to have to keep Ruin Processor at bay next turn. Like, this is not...
He's close, but
3,
yeah.
4, 5, 10 power? Scion going to jump block to soak up 5 of it.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Couldn't quite sneak through lethal. It was close.
No, he had lethal power on board, but he needed to have 2 extra Scions,
Right.
or removal spells or something, which is that's a tall order. So, right, Martin falls down to 7 life as Christoph Alcantara passes a turn back to him. And once again, I want to remind you that Christoph has to win back-to-back games.
Yeah, this is just game 2.
To take this match down for his team. Yeah, here comes that Ruin Processor again. It's not lethal.
You just want to take 7
I
here?
mean, I think it's an option.
I think you chump with the Scion and then tap down one of the blockers.
That's probably the right play.
Yeah, tap the 1/4.
All right. Wonder how many more ways Christoph has of making Scions.
And Drowner of Hope's looking around for more food.
Indeed.
Doesn't see any.
Another Sludge Crawler.
But
Oh, this
horribly
one's going
awry.
to get horribly awryed. Okay. The fight continues here, and there's that Wind Rider Patrol. We knew about that.
Yep. Martin Clement is out of cards. They're all on the table.
It's a big draw step here for Alcantara. What does he have? Herald of Kozilek
And a channeler.
and a channeler that he gets to follow up with. 2 triggers now on the Sentinel, as his teammate points out. And they're lining up attacks here.
Oh, yeah.
Whew. This has been a properly close game. And here comes the 5/5. Now the 3-powered Sentinel and the 3/3. And now it's on Martin and team to figure out how they want to block. He is forced to block something here. Doesn't have any mana, or he's got 2 mana up to pump, but that's not going to get the job done. So he's basically just double chumping here. And taking 3. Falls down to 4, and this is about as close as they get. Alcantara with multiple blockers back. This is a top deck here for Clement, and it's a land. Skitterskin has just been painful on board here.
Yeah.
The Tide Drifter passively holding it back and it not being able to block. You know, when you're slightly ahead, Skitterskin can look really good. It runs over a lot of the tougher blockers, but 05s and 06s it does not.
Outnumber off the top.
Outnumber off the top after
Down
Martin
goes
Clement
Patrol.
passed the turn back. And he's going to attack with everything here. And Martin even gave him a little hint of like, yeah, we're done here. Kristoff says, sure. Green light it is. And he picks up the win for his team to tie this match up at 1 game apiece. That was a great game to watch.
Really was. That was fun.
I mean, that was the same game that he cracked the Blighted Cataract and was playing around
Yeah, we had
Olamon's
the
Nullifier
Nullifier dance.
forever. Yeah. Oof.
Now, I've lost track of how much time the feature match has, because this match was held because we were watching other matches, and so we were going to wait to try to get the winning match on camera. But I know that time has been called on the floor already. This particular match, I've just heard in my ear, has 11 minutes left for Game 3.
That is going to be tight. These two decks tend to play a little bit more of a controlling style that neither of them has like a super fast start. Although I will say that Clement can come out quite quickly with sludge crawlers and evasive threats.
Yep.
Remember, this is the match that decides the whole round here for these teams. And again, one of these teams walks away from Team Sealed with a 2-1 record, looking quite strong to make a run for day 2 going into Team Unified Standard. And the other one is away with 1-2 and has quite a bit of work to do to make day 2. Everything changes tomorrow in day 2 with pool play. We'll be updating you with how that all works as it comes to fruition. But for now, this is going to be one game to decide this. And this is, you know, one of the other highlights that you get out of team play is that this is one game that's deciding effectively 3 matches worth of games.
And that was a quick shuffle. Both of these players obviously want to get a result here. They don't want to draw. They want to win. You want 4-3 today. That should be good enough to get through. And obviously, you'd rather be better. And seeding does matter. Like, the higher your seed going into day 2, the better your tiebreakers. I mean, you can very easily wind up in a tie for advancement out of one of those pools tomorrow. So seeding matters, and records are good, but getting to play is mission number 1.
Absolutely. So a good start for Martin. He starts things off with Sludge Crawler, attacks and pumps it. But Alcantara, who's on the draw this game, finds a beautiful little blocker here with Tide Drifter. Martin's going to attack because, hey, why not? But Alcantara's having none of it. He blocks. And now he's going to be thinking immediately about Spell Shrivel. Yeah, this is a spell that he doesn't mind. Because like Sentinel, look, if you want to Spell Shrivel this, have at you. And in fact, Martin has Horribly Awry in hand. And was just like, yeah, whatever.
You know what we've got coming up after this game?
What's that?
The first Oath of the Gatewatch preview.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. It's going to be the day just keeps getting better.
I'm supposed to go eat lunch or something, and I know I'm going to be standing in front of some monitor somewhere waiting for the preview. People always think they show us those, and I'm like, I don't get to see them either. All right, so it looks like Martin did find something he wanted to send Horribly Awry, which was the Herald of Kozilek.
Yeah, we do have a lunch break coming up next, but you're going to want to stay tuned.
Yeah, you know, this weekend is effectively the kickoff weekend for Oath of the Gatewatch. We're going to really start rolling things up to that. And all right, so Kristoff Alcantara continues to build out his board nicely here. He did have his Herald sent Horribly Awry, but the follow-up plays a beauty. Eldrazi Sky Spawner, one of the best commons in the whole set. And it looks like Martin is going to go ahead and block pump to save 2 damage here. And Alcantara says, sure. Clutch Occurrence off the top for Martin. He's also got an Adverse Conditions in hand and a Merc Strider, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen there. But this start from Alcantara has been really clean. That board state happened with him getting one of his spells countered as well. So he's doing pretty good work here. All right, Clutch of Currents is going to take Tide Drifter out of the equation, at least temporarily, and produce a 3/3 land. What the? Wow, that is an aggressive attack.
Scion.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the 3/3 was going to come in, but I did not expect the Sludge Crawler to trade for a Scion, but it in fact does here. That is properly aggressive there for Martin.
Now it's Channeler instead of the Tide Drifter's return.
Yeah, when you have the chance to use up 5 mana rather than 2, you take it, especially when your opponent has that 3/3, which you can now crunch through. Another land off the top for Clement. And it's going to be a Merc Strider to set things back further. But I got to say, I don't feel like this plan is going to be long-term viable for Martin. He just doesn't have enough power on the board. He's trying to set up
this is how he won the first
conditions.
game.
It is, yeah.
But he was attacking for more than 3.
Right. And it's tough. He's now got 6 power up with adverse conditions, so you can see what he's trying to do here. But this basically relies on Christoph Alcantara doing not a lot for the rest of the game. And like this type of play is backbreaking for his game plan. He just Clutch of Currents and then got his Clutch of Currents back. And what he clutched was a land. It effectively kills it. And now he gets to outnumber. And he's so far behind now is Martin. It looks like Austria is going to be in great spot here to go 2-1. Dampening Pulse helps. It actually does help. That die, by the way, isn't actually doing anything.
Yeah,
get the wide shot here, and you do get a chance to see the garb that Team Scotland's brought to
kilts.
The table. Super cool. Love those kilts.
Yeah, they got the win with their Goblin Warpaint deck. But looks like they may lose the other 2. They're going to have some work to do if they want to make day 2 for the 4th year in a row.
Yeah.
I don't blame Martin Clement for the line that he took here. I mean, with the cards that he drew, I don't know that he had a better way to try to win this game. But yeah, he needed Alcantara to be on blanks or he needed to draw well. And neither one of those things seems to have worked out here.
Alcantara actually uses Spell Shrivel to counter
the adverse
conditions on upkeep there. He knows that he can close out this game quickly and that would be a step in the wrong direction. Also, casting the Spell Shrivel does trigger Kozilek Sentinel to get it back up to 1 power.
It's good enough to attack on this board.
Yeah, he's attacking for 6 here. Make it a 2/2 to soak up the damage. Take 3, 4, 5. Go down to 3. And we do seem like we're down the stretch here. It's going to take a heck of a draw from Martin. He finds a swamp and just ships a turn back. Doesn't play it. And here comes that Clutch of Currents. That's going to get Sludge Crawler out of the way, the only blocker left. And it's going to produce another 2 power of attacks, and that is lethal. Team Austria picks up the win here, and they're going to be 2-1 coming out of the team limited rounds, defeating Scotland, who has some work to do in Team Unified Standard. And great stuff there down for the limited portion. I love seeing those decks. Those super powered Team Seal decks are really fun to watch, and we had some absolutely epic games too.
Definitely.
As we wind down sort of the first stage of the World Magic Cup here in Spain. We're going to do some lunch breaky stuff as well as get you set up for Team Unified Standard. Let's head to the news desk, and Rich Hagan.
Thanks very much to Marshall Sutcliffe and Randy Buehler there. Just a little bit of housekeeping to bring you some scores on the doors. Who are the 3-0s? Well, how about this? Macedonia are 3-0. Vladimir Trashevsky is the champion for them, and they have defeated Team USA in round number 3. USA falls to 2-1. Team Japan with Yuya Watanabe and Kenji Sumura, Ryoichi Tamada and Yo-Yo Su are also at 2-1. Other 3-0s, Singapore 3-0. They defeated Jason Chung's New Zealand. Brazil go to 3-0 with Paulo Vitor, Dama de Rosa, Lucas Escobar 2 on that team. They defeated Guatemala, a real sort of local rivalry, Guatemala and Brazil. Guatemala still a great morning, 2-1 in limited play. And we heard earlier from Martin Muller on the defending champions, alongside Martin Dang, of course, Daniel Lind and Christopher Larsen. Denmark are still undefeated. A perfect morning for them, 3-0. We'll bring you all the scores later in this lunch break, but we have two great things coming up. In a little bit, Frank Karsten and Brian David Marshall will be here alongside Ian Duke to talk you through Team Unified Standard. That's this crazy format that we're going to be working with through the afternoon and indeed the back half of tomorrow and then Sunday. But before that, it's the Oath of the Gatewatch kickoff weekend, so it's time to kick things off with our first Oath of the Gatewatch preview.